Welcome back to another episode of the Pax What She Said podcast. I'm one of your co-hosts, Maggie Loney, joined as always by Perry Goldstein, here to preview week 2 already because the Packers decided to kick off the season with 2 home games on Sunday and Thursday night football. It's going to be a good one.
Yeah.
I think that not to get too dramatic about the state of things, but if we had said earlier this season, like, it's possible the Packers could start the season 0-2, and it's not going to be a death sentence, but like you're playing 2 of the best teams on your schedule, weeks 1 and 2. Well, they don't have to worry about that now, right? Because they're going into this one 1-0 and heading into hosting the Commanders. But yeah, this one's a big one, Perry.
It is. It's a team that the Packers could potentially see in the playoffs again.
Yeah.
It's a team. I feel like the Commanders are like one season behind the Packers, like had a very hyped first season with Jaden Daniels, have super high expectations coming into this second season now, and are like still trying to like work out the kinks with him, figure out their identity, try to like lean on last season, but also like take that next step. So it's going to be very fun to watch them this season, like outside of this game.
Yeah, I like that. That's a really good comparison. Added pieces like Deebo Samuel, the same way that the Packers added Xavier McKinney last season. So like trying to put together more supporting cast for your quarterback after a, kind of surprise playoff appearance. But now sky is the limit for this Washington team. And I agree with you. I think that kind of is the biggest maybe narrative going into Thursday is this could have playoff implications, which is crazy to say about a week 2 game.
Mm-hmm.
But before we get there, let's talk about what's happening across the NFC North. Obviously, the Bears hosted the Vikings on Monday Night Football, dropped that one at the very end to fall to 0-1 on the season. Bears and Lions play on Sunday. So one of these 2 teams in the NFC North is already going to start the season 0-2 and 0-2 in the NFC North, let alone a 4-year record. So pretty big implications, I think, for these teams going into Sunday.
Yeah, pretty crazy to me that they would put 2 division games at the start of the Bears and the Lions season.
Yeah.
Like that's really intense, and has a lot of, it's like those are high stakes games no matter where they fall in the season, interdivisional games. So first 2 kind of brutal. I don't know that I would like that. I went to bed at the end of the third quarter because it was late and I was like, you know what? Like I've seen 3 quarters of this, like, and obviously that was a bad decision because I missed the most fun part, which was the JJ McCarthy comeback. I feel this one is tough because I really do feel like the Bears, I mean, I didn't watch the downfall in the fourth quarter, but from what I watched, it really did look like they were playing like pretty good football. Like Caleb, when he's in rhythm and playing, within script, like he can move the ball. Like he has so much talent. And you and I were texting about this today, just like, it's just when he goes like kind of crazy for like 30% of his plays and you're like, what are you doing, man? So I think there's like a lot for Ben Johnson to work with, but really tough way to start the season, to like drop, just get beat down at like the end of a game at home. I think the Bears will have their work cut out for them to not let like that negative momentum affect them going into this game. And awesome I feel like the Vikings are in a place where they're like, we're just trying to figure things out with this QB, and like we have all the pieces set up for him to succeed, and now we just got to like ramp him up. So I hope JJ probably feels good after the end of this performance.
Yeah.
The first half was hard to watch, but to me it felt like just the game was moving much faster than he could keep up with, and that's something that like a lot of NFL QBs say in the first couple games, right? Is like getting up, like literally having to get up to like that play speed. So a lot of promise on both sides, just having to finish it out for the Bears.
Yeah, and I mean, for JJ to have that kind of comeback with the Vikings in his first season as a starter, I think it means a lot, right? You get a division win under your belt, like you do it in an away stadium as well. It's not like the Vikings are playing at home. Bears should have had that one, and
Yeah.
that easily. So I think that, the narrative, of course, now going into Sunday is going to be Ben Johnson returning to Detroit to take on the Lions. How does the team kind of bounce back from this in a game that they should have come away with? Kudos to the Vikings for for rallying. They have all the talent in the world, but it's how will they put it together? I think, and you kind of apply that to the Bears too. There's a lot to like about the pieces that they have, but will and Johnson and Dennis Allen be able to get the most out of those pieces. And I think reining in Caleb was a good way to phrase that on your part because he has a lot of the intangibles, but now it's working to mold that into a successful NFL quarterback.
Right. I mean, we see this a lot with guys with a lot of talent. Like, you just need to be polished off. And I think I'd much rather have a quarterback who has that high of a ceiling, and you kind of have to mold him right to fit like the play style of the NFL, versus like a guy who just has a much, shorter ceiling. Um, it is a bit of a big deal, though. All right, let me ask you this. Which team, I think we know the answer, but like which team after this is just after week 1, we have the smallest sample size, do you think is best suited to overcome an 0-2 start? Because I personally think like the Lions can do it. Like,
Oh
I
yeah.
think if the Lions start 0-2, I'm like still not worried about them turning the season around. I think if the Bears start 0-2, it's just going to really spiral from there. And I wouldn't want that. I think the team has, to your point, like the right pieces that they should be like building off of. But an 0-2 start is tough.
I would want that. I absolutely want them to spiral. I'll say it. But no, I think I agree with you that it's the Lions for sure. I think that it's a very resilient team, and Dan Campbell's not the kind of person that is gonna roll over after this, and,
Yeah.
you know, I think it was like, humbling's probably not the right word, but they had gotten so used to winning at Lambeau, right? They had won 3 in a row, and they had been running the division the last couple seasons, and they come in, and they just looked like the inferior team, and if they come out and struggle against the Bears, I don't think that they're prepared for that. Like, if the Bears make it a close game, I think that the Lions fans are gonna be pretty worried.
Yeah.
I think the Lions can overcome that. They have a ton of talent. They like on paper are arguably, if not the Packers, like the most talented paper roster in the division.
Yeah.
Um, so I think that they are able to bounce back from that, and it helps to have it at home, right? But yeah, they are in for a slog because then they have the Ravens in week 3. So that could be, I think, the tipping point for the Lions is
Yeah.
if you drop 2 and then you have to play Baltimore. Like, this is what happens, right? When you win your division is you play the best of the best. They got the Chiefs on deck in a couple weeks. Like, this we talked about a litmus test for the Packers and how they stack up. Like, this is now, are the Lions as good as what we all thought that they would be going up against some of these powerhouse teams that they've got on the schedule?
Yeah. Wow, that's tough. That's a tough schedule. Let me clarify. I personally am fine with the Bears spinning out. If I'm a Bears fan, it feels like a bit of a deja vu in a nightmare fuel type of way where it's like, oh my God, are we really like we're gonna start the season this way? Can we really not get it together? Are we gonna fire a coach again after one season? Are we gonna move on? Like I think there's a lot of questions for Bears fans, and they've been in this like really bad cycle of, in my opinion, potentially moving on from talent too soon because
Mhm.
they freak out that they had a losing season. And so if they go 0-2, I think again it could be a tough hole to climb out of, but we will see what happens. I will say they should have won that game, but I would feel encouraged at how they looked, especially again, I didn't watch the fourth quarter, but I was gonna say the defense, but apparently not because they gave up 3 unanswered touchdowns. But I would feel encouraged by the performance, I guess is where I land on it. I don't think, and I never thought that either of these teams were really going to be vying for the division. Like, I think you and I both knew going into the season, like it's going to be either the Packers or the Lions. I still feel that way, even after this past game with the Lions. Again, I'd really like to see if they handle the Bears and they're like, okay, like we're back to true form, then I stand on that.
Yeah, well said. So let's talk about the game that we have coming up on Thursday night because again, this is one that potentially could be something we see again down the line, the same way we saw the Packers, kind of struggle with the Eagles in the regular season and then have to see them again in the postseason. Like this could be a matchup that we see in the divisional round in a conference championship. And I think we forget that the Commanders were there last season, which
Yeah.
is, incredibly surprising when you have a rookie quarterback. But again, one sample size, they played a not good Giants team but put up some really gaudy numbers, right? Their defense was first in points against right now, only allowing 6 points. They had 220 rushing yards on the ground. Big day for a lot of different players. Obviously, Jaden Daniels, 68 rushing yards. Debo Samuel is now a commander. So there's a lot of change for this roster. And they looked pretty fluid on
Yeah.
Sunday. They had a nice outing, even though, like we said, the talent is not necessarily there on the Giants.
Yeah, they had just like one of those week 1 games that I feel like gets like overlooked because it's exactly what people expected to
Yeah.
have happen. To your point, like Jane Daniels had a great day, 233 yards, 1 touchdown, no interceptions, 68 on the ground. Like just he is their engine, he is
Mhm.
their heart. The defense pressured Russell Wilson on 50% of his dropbacks. So definitely kind of my like, one to watch, like key to this game is like, can the offensive line hold up against this Washington front? Because again, it's weighing out like, is it just because the Giants offensive line is bad, or is the Washington front like really that dominant? And obviously it probably falls somewhere in the middle, but I think the Washington front is pretty dominant. We have some key injuries on
Yeah.
the offensive line to watch, right? And again, I feel like Jordan Morgan and Kennard / Anthony Belton came in and did a formidable job, but you don't want to see Zach Tom or Aaron Banks not play in this game against this front. So short week. They also have some injuries. If you looked at the
Mhm.
injury report, Washington has, especially on the defensive side. I'm gonna pull it up right now. So yeah, that's kind of like my key to this game is that in the trenches there.
Yeah, and I mean, we had talked about the changes that happened with the Lions offensive line and how they had 3 new interior pieces and the Packers, teed off. They had a field day. And on the flip side of that, Jordan Love wasn't touched, right? Like didn't
Yeah.
take a sack. So the offensive line played as well as you could have possibly wanted them to. But, to add on to your injury point here, Zach Tom is and the Packers have just had their walkthroughs. It's Tuesday as we're recording this, so there hasn't been like an official practice. But Zach Tom is listed as a DNP for both days with the oblique injury. And then you've got Aaron Banks listed as well as a DNP with an ankle and groin injury. So not sure if either of those guys would be playing or practicing if there were actual practices to go through. On a short week, it feels really dicey to imagine that
Mhm.
they would. But yeah, I think that's where this depth comes in that we've talked about the entire offseason is that's why you drafted Jordan Morgan. That's why you took a second round pick this year and drafted Anthony Belton. That's why you traded for Darian Kennard because you didn't like the depth that you had on your roster. So there's 3 guys still that they felt comfortable enough to put into game action on Sunday and they handled everybody pretty well. I mean, they're still lining up against guys like Aiden Hutchinson.
Yeah.
So I think that this is a good Washington front, but I don't know if I would be willing to say it's like far and away better than what these guys already saw on Sunday against the Lions.
I feel similarly to you for sure. Like I think the Packers went up against a very formidable front and really handled their business. So I'm not exceptionally concerned that Washington is going to come in and be that much better. I mean, like Von Miller is also on the injury report, as is Deron Payne. So like I think there's like equal measure. People are feeling it after week 1 or like the Packers are going to play. I mean, we said this before, but like if the Packers play like they did on Sunday, like they're going to beat Washington. That's not always how it works. It's not always copy and paste. But I think they have a trustworthy offensive line with depth included in that statement, that I feel confident that it's not going to be a wholehearted mismatch.
Yeah, and I think the game plan is going to be a little bit different here too, right? Like
Yeah.
we saw opportunities for the Packers offense to get things going through the air, which we didn't expect, right? We thought it was going to have to be like a big Josh Jones, geez, Josh Jacobs day because we knew what the secondary was in Detroit. And still, they found ample opportunities to take deep shots. The middle of the field was, there were opportunities there. We saw the Romeo Dobbs huge catch to get down into the red zone. This is a good secondary. Like, I think it is better than it might be getting credit for. There's a lot of pieces I really like in the secondary. They have two
Mhm.
really good inside linebackers. The ageless Bobby Wagner still in the middle there. But I do think that there's going to be opportunities to pound the ball. And I think that's going to be needed, especially again as we look at the injury report and we see that yes, the wide receivers are probably all still playing, but those are guys that are banged up too. So I don't know if some of that quick game is going to be there. So I think Josh Jacobs has to have a big game, and that's going to be another testament to this offensive line and the backups to see what kind of running lanes they can create for him.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a tougher day for Josh Jacobs against the Lions. So trying to get that run game going will be huge. And I say that with a caveat that he was so integral to pass pro in the Lions game that it's hard to say like, oh well, he didn't do as much as we'd hoped. Like he protected Jordan as well. And I'm sure they're going to use him in that role, him and Chris Brooks too, against this front. Um, that, yeah, that is the end of my sentence.
But yeah, I mean, I'm really excited to see, what the game plan is. I think we talked about like who needs to have a big game for this Packers offense, and I think kind of, obvious, but it comes down to the offensive line, right? Because if Jordan
Yeah.
Love can't get anything done, Josh Jacobs can't get anything done, it's going to be tough sledding. But if you're able to move the ball, then I do have full confidence that the defense is going to be able to keep them in it, right? And I think that's the flip side of this too, is talking about Jaden Daniels, because we joked about it, right, when we were previewing the Lions game, and we said like, well, knock on wood, Jared Goff isn't really the kind of guy that you have to worry about
Yeah.
evading pressure and creating running lanes. And Jaden Daniels is like 1 or 1A in the column of guys you have to worry about creating running lanes and evading pressure. So we saw the beautiful Micah Parsons chase down, like a lion hunting his prey. Jaden Daniels is probably going to outrun Micah Parsons in those instances, right? So, like, a lot of these big moments that happened against this Lions team, I think the Washington offense is better equipped to handle some of those things.
Yep. I'm with you. I think one of the struggles this defense had last season was like setting the edge, especially when it came to running quarterbacks. The way this team played makes me feel more confident they're going to have the tools at least to do that better. I am really curious to see like how those kind of interior guys handle the run in this game. I mean, Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery are one of the best
Yeah.
tandems there is, but Washington is just as formidable, and I think they have a little bit more pieces that they utilize in the run game than the Lions do. Like they have their two, the Lions, whereas Washington can mix in like three or four, and also can create some designed runs by Jaden Daniels. To your point, so run lane integrity. I mean, we saw some great things from Colby Wooden
Mhm.
right in the A gap, but there's going to be, I think, more tricks up Washington's sleeve than the Lions had for them. So, mitigating that, and then I mean, Jaden Daniels also has weapons to throw to. That's I think based on week one a little bit more of what I'm concerned about. If Jaden Daniels can get his pass game going, especially into Terry McLaurin, I don't know if the Packers have the horses on the back end to kind of contain any of that. So big day for the corner room, big day for the safeties. I thought Xavier McKinney and Evan Williams had like an absolute stud
Yep.
tandem performance in week one. So they need to keep it up and just at least kind of contain the big play like they know how to do. But Washington is they're going to get yards through there.
Yeah, and I mean, we talked about it going into the Lions game, right? It's like they have Amon Ra, they have Jameson Williams, like they have big play guys. And thankfully, the Packers defense was able to generate enough pressure that Jared Goff was just wildly uncomfortable and couldn't get a ton going because there were opportunities. Amon Ra was
Yeah.
open. Jameson Williams had, running lanes and avenues available to him. Bo Melton is on the injury report as a DNP. So you're looking at Carrington Valentine again and Keyshawn Nixon on the boundary. We'll see if Nate Hobbs is able to play this week. He's listed as limited both days with the knee injury, but again, it's a short weekend play in week 1, so I'm not sure, what his availability will be. But I think your safeties have to have a big game again. I think your pass rushers need to have a big game. But I think the key to this defense and key to winning the game this week is Edgerrin Cooper. I
Mm,
think you just spy Jaden Daniels, and Cooper is the guy to be able to do that. And if the middle of the defense can free some things up, then you're going to be able to get after this offense. But if those, chunk plays are available, even like 9 yards, move the chains, just kind of keep drives alive, the defense is going to get gassed against this team.
yeah. I was worried about the defense getting gassed in week 1. They were on the field a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And some of it was great. It's because the Packers offense scored very quickly. But you do like those reps add up, and you don't want your defense on the field that much. I guess that's another then key as we're talking about it is like long sustained drives by the offense. I think you always want that, but eating up the clock might be more important in this game.
Yeah, I agree with you. So, any other key takeaways before we talk about final score predictions here?
um, I'm just excited for this one. I think they're two very evenly matched teams. They have like kind of matching strengths, in my opinion. Like both fronts are very formidable. Both quarterbacks have like that big playability at any given moment. They have the weapons on both sides, both offenses. So it's just going to really be about who executes better and who can like red zone offense, right? Red zone offense, red zone defense. Like who can. Packers did a great job with bend don't break. Can they do that again? Right? Can they keep the Commanders out of the end zone? We will see.
Yeah, and there's some familiar faces, right? Obviously, Dan Quinn is their head coach going into his second season. Joe Witt Jr., formerly the DB's coach in Green Bay before Matt LaFleur's time, but still a friendly face that a lot of Packers fans will recognize. It's going to be, like you said, a really, really good game. And I think, one of the arrows pointing up for this Packers team, and we talked about it a little bit in the Lions recap, is that Jordan Love just looks so comfortable and
Mm-hmm.
healthy. And I think if he has time to go through his reads and make plays, which seems obvious, right? But he did well under pressure, I thought, on Sunday. But if he has time to just kind of observe the field and find what he's looking for, then it's going to be another really successful day for this Packers offense. So with that in mind, how you feeling? Is it high scoring? Is it kind of a slog because both of these offenses can put it together, but both these defenses are good? Like what's the vibe?
I don't know because my radar has been so off. Um,
It's week 1. You're fine.
like, thank you. Like, it could very well be high scoring, but given the caliber of defenses that we're dealing with, like, I don't think this is going to be a 40-41 game. The Lions or the Bills and the Ravens. I give the Packers the nod in this game for sure. I think another like 27-30 pointer. Washington's a 21-24 pointer, something along those lines. Definitely don't expect it to be as lopsided as week 1.
Yeah. I think 30 makes sense. I like that like nice round. I could see them scoring more against this Washington team, especially if the big chunks are there. But I could also see Washington putting it together quicker than the Lions are able to.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so yeah, let's do like 30-24.
Yeah,
I
that's
think
what
it'll
I
be
had in my
I
head.
think it'll be close, but I think that it might be another Packers are winning by 2 scores that turns into a 1 score as the late in the game.
Mm-hmm.
At least that's my hope, right? So that I can have like a comfortable Thursday evening and not
Yeah.
be not be on the edge of my seat the whole time.
It wouldn't like terribly surprise me if it's like switching leads like every few
Mhm.
drives, right? And in some at the end of it, like Washington does pull it out. They're a very good team.
Mm.
I hope for my sake with my family over that doesn't happen because I'll never live it down. But in all seriousness, like there is a world in which the Packers lose this game, but I think that that's also okay if that happens, depending on how they get up for it.
Yeah. And I mean, I think that there's like, this is why they paid Brandon McManus all the money, right? He's been really reliable and has looked really good. But we saw a lot of close games last season come down to the kicking operation. And like, you know, it could be one of those like final seconds kind of wins for either team. And on a quick turnaround to Thursday night game, that is pretty likely when you've got really banged up teams that are exhausted. Um, it's the winter warning game, so if you're going to be there, obviously Packers encouraging everyone to wear white. Should look really cool under the lights at Lambeau. And the Packers get their own little mini bye before traveling to Cleveland for their first road game in week 3. But that is all we got.
Does that mean that the Packers are wearing their white color rush?
Yeah, they're going to be in all white.
Oh, I love those. They're so good. Those are my favorite that they have. Oh, okay. Well, Packers by 40. It changed my mind.
Yeah, that's all it took, right? Look
That's
good,
all
play
it
good,
takes. They
finish. There
look
we go.
those are the best. They're so good. Okay.
They're pretty sick.
Woo.
All right. Love it. Cannot wait for this one. Going to be a really good game, obviously. Join us on the post game recap where we're hopefully talking about a 2-0 Packers team that is taking control of the NFC. But again, if they drop this one, call us ever the optimists, but it's going to be okay. But that said, we still think they win, right? So thank you, as always, for listening to the show. Find us at PWSS Podcast or at Pax What She Said. Like and subscribe to the show if you don't already. Share it with your friends. Thank you so much for all the love you've given the early episodes of this season. Numbers are climbing, and we love to see that, and we appreciate you all very much. I'm Perry at Perry_Goldstein, me at Maggie J. Loney, and we'll be back Friday. Go Pack Go.
Go Pack Go.